Chapter 5, Swimming for Bath University, 1995 to 1999. Beep! The sound of the alarm clock woke me, and as per usual I rushed to wake up, before struggling to get into my costume, then throwing my school uniform and shoes on. Pulling my hair back into a ponytail with an elastic band, I moved in front of the mirror so I brushed my teeth. I felt excited about the sessions for today. I had been working very hard up until this week because the national championships were getting closer, so I needed to start tapering. I had been doing some quick split times in training, so I hoped to swim a good time at the national championships. My dad came into my room, pushing me to get out of the door. "Are you ready?" he asked. "Just need to grab some lunch," I replied. Rushing out the door, I saw the clock, 5:15. Late again. Maybe I should have left my lunch. We jump into my dad's car and start driving onto the A4. I am sure my dad drove a little too fast, but as there were no other cars on the road, there was no one around to complain. It took us about 20 minutes to get to Bath University, park the car, and then run inside to the sports centre. The clock showed 5:40. Yes! I made it. I ran onto the poolside where Andy Clayton, Jamie King, and a few other swimmers were already stretching. David Lars and Ian Turner, the coaches, were in their office. I started my normal stretching to loosen up. The clock struck 6 o'clock and we all moved to the end of the pool ready to dive in. Lane 2 is my lane, and as I normally led it, I stood on the top of the starting block. Knowing that the pool would be freezing cold, apparently the proper swimming temperature, I shivered excitingly. "Swimmers, are you ready?" David's loud voice made me jump. "Go!" I was in the pool and didn't notice the temperature change until I started swimming front crawl. It was absolutely freezing, and I was already desperate to get out, and I hadn't even finished the first 50. I tried to swim a little faster to get it a bit warmer. The wall was nearing. Yes, I said to myself. The initial shock was over, and I was ready to concentrate on my swimming. The warm-up consisted of 800 metres freestyle, and with every fourth length backstroke. I felt very strong and enjoyed the session. The total distance for the session was 6,200 metres. I stretched again, then went to the changing rooms for a quick shower. I had to rush because my dad still had to get to Swindon to start his job, and I had to get to Corsham for school. I was allowed to be late for registration every day, but was not allowed to be late for my first lesson, which started at 8:40. Running out of the sports centre, I saw my dad in his car. I ran as fast as I could before coming to a dead halt and swinging the door open, pushing myself inside, my swimming bag still on my back. My dad drove me to school where he kissed me on the cheek, and I ran into one of the school blocks. I pulled my bag around to the front and opened the folder to see which class I was supposed to be in. Physics. Oh no. The science rooms were at the other end of the school. I ran the 300 metres, then dashed up the stairs to my physics room. Knocking on the door, I remembered that I hadn't done my homework. I went into the room and found a place next to Laura. She smiled at me. "Welcome, Stephanie," said my teacher. I smiled in return. It was very warm in this class. Maybe it was the panting that I was doing after that run. I enjoyed physics, so the hour session went by very quickly, and I went on to maths where we had an algebra test for 10 minutes. No calculators allowed. I've always been good at maths, so the test was quite easy, thankfully. We then went on to completing a past paper on simultaneous equations. There was a 20-minute break after the maths lessons, so I ate my breakfast before going to my Spanish lessons. When I got to class, the Spanish teacher started chatting away to me in Spanish, but I was lost after the first word, so was uncertain how to reply. I decided to say I live in a house, as this might have been the right answer. "What type of house?" he asked in Spanish. Yes, I had chosen the right answer. "A bungalow," I replied, with a smile on my face. He went on to ask Brett where he lived and what kind of house it was. I must be such a lucky person to have got that question right. Spanish finished and was followed by English, where we were dissecting the novel Frankenstein. As homework, I needed to write an essay about chapter 10 of this book. English finished. 1 o'clock, lunchtime. I went over to where the head teacher and my mother had their offices. My mum worked as a head teacher's secretary. Seeing my mum through the window, I smiled and she smiled back. I sat in the reception and ate my sandwich before my mum walked out. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yes, I'm great," I replied. I followed her to the car and we climbed in. My mum started the car and she drove me back to Bath University before driving back to school to finish her work at 4. Today was a Wednesday, and every Wednesday I was allowed to go to the university for the last hour of school, as it was my PE lesson. At the university, I went for a 3-mile run around the university campus, and then went into the fitness room to do a beast of an abs session, including thousands of sit-ups and press-ups. The circuit training was always hard work, and then we were back in the pool at 4 o'clock for another 2-hour session. 6 o'clock arrived, and my mum was sitting in the seating area, waiting to take me home. I was very excited, as I had worked hard today. We got home at 6:40, and my mum heated my dinner in the oven for me. She had cooked dinner when she had finished work, and Christy, Paul, and Nicholas had already eaten theirs, but mine was obviously cold by now. I finished my meal, then went to my room to write that English essay about Frankenstein. With the essay complete, I collected a dry towel and packed it into my swimming bag, ready for the next morning. Then I fell asleep at 10:30, ready for Thursday. The same alarm woke me the next morning, and the same routine was followed. Wednesdays were the hard days, where we had to do the land work as well as swimming. On the other weekdays, we had to swim 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and then 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. The weekends were easy, as there were no sessions on Saturday, and only one session on Sunday. We were also allowed one session off during the week, which was generally a Tuesday or a Thursday morning. I really enjoyed everything about training at Bath University, and I was very much looking forward to my first major competition, swimming for them. This competition was going to be the National Age Group Championships, to be held in Coventry. A year ago, I had swam the 100 metres butterfly in this competition in Crystal Palace, and I had come 20th, even after spending a fortnight on a water sports holiday with my school just before racing. This year I intended to do a number of events, from the 200 butterfly to 100 backstroke. I was very excited about this competition, so after all the training I was hoping for some fast times. I started training at Bath University aged just 14, but my life was about to hit an ultimate immense peak before then sinking into a dark and treacherous trough, signalling the end to my perfect existence.